Howdy, howdy. It has been a minute. A blur is a better word for everything. A lot has changed in the past week, and I'm gonna try to do a little bit more regular uploads, but I am moving forward with things. Let's put it at that. So, real life updates. My co-founder got a job working for a bigger company, doing some cool stuff, and getting some good money. But the school endeavor, we're unsure if right now is going to be feasible, purely just from the scope side of things and the lack of funding. So that is definitely going to be getting put on hold, but what that does is kind of open the door for something else. I met a lovely community. Let me pull up the Discord real quick. I had it, but then guess not. R4 Reach and Relief. I found them through the Wisdom X Technology Discord, so that's on the same thing. But what was kind of fun is, so another cool server. I won't be able to provide invites for these, but if you reach out like with some good intent, I'm sure I can make something work. But the Wisdom X Technology Discord I got from Substack. So I have been posting a lot on Substack. And I reached out to the main guy, Michael Garfield, and was asking some questions. So he just threw me onto the Discord. And then from there I met a Ben Smith, and he was really interested in bioregional gamification. So what that is bioregionalism is kind of a focus for, the TLDR of it is fighting what they call the MetaCrisis. So whether that be climate change or like social issues, stuff like that. It's very broad, but in bioregionalism in specific, it's just making sure that the ecology, at a bare minimum, will be able to survive through this kind of thing. So working towards that, and then in a similar vein, R4, the group, I believe, I forget what it stands for. It's like 4 different R's. Can I see their logo? I'll just pull up their website real quick. r4relief.org. Yeah. So R4 Reach Disaster Dash. So that's the R4D2. They are a new nonprofit that started back in 2024 with Hurricane Helene. And then one of the top dogs, Jessie, on there was just a person working, doing her own thing. She's basically done everything though. But she started this up to help direct efforts during the disaster relief in Hurricane Helene. And I can just kind of click on this to jump into. I guess I cannot. That was a job form, so it doesn't work in that browser for some reason. And pull up. So it works in Zen, but it doesn't work in Firefox. So, but yeah. So in the WNC area, working to like not stop the disaster, but like stop the deleterious effects of the disaster to the best of their ability. But the way they did this is they had drivers would go out and go from supply sites to the individual people, and also between the supply sites, to make sure that people were getting the needs that they needed. But on like the logistical side of things, they have this platform. So going forward from that, they're wanting to kind of generalize this from not just this region, not just drivers, but to also volunteers of any kind to do volunteering. And they already have like volunteer applications and agreements, but that's not the most logistically sound option. Like figuring out ways to potentially automate it, and then for sunny skies, that meaning not during a disaster, figuring out ways to gamify it such that we can have people like wanting to do volunteering when it's not during a disaster. So basic community engagement, gamification that's kind of where I decided to come in. I'm really intrigued by gamification. I have played video games my entire life. and I've always wanted to make my own games. So I thought, why not? Let's jump on it. So I'm going to be working with them pretty closely in the near future. I'll still be working on the school stuff, developing the ideas. I do have some people like pressuring me to do some more research. They're quite curious, as am I. But the funding just isn't there right now for my short-term, real-life needs. So for now, I'm going to be working under R4, more working with R4. One of the main reasons that I really enjoy this is anything that I make is still going to be my IP. I will be able to use the code that I build this on to build whatever I'm wanting to build. So, what exactly would that be? So I did Deferrment, WisdomX Tech, R4, and then their gamification. So what we're thinking about building, first, phase one is going to be building out their website and their volunteer portal and like the back-end side of things. And they're currently using Airtable, so switching off of that onto like building our own front end for their back end, like the coordination front end, building that out, and then that was going to be R4 Dash. So that's phase one, and then phase two is R4 Go. So these are just internal nomers, but potentially external. It's going to be R4 Go, as in Pokemon Go, where it's a map-based gamification system for tasks. But I have a little pitch that I can give. So yeah, community engagement through action. All right. So R4 Dash and R4 Go are going to be complementary apps, and that is a lightweight badge-based platform for coordinating community engagement and disaster response, designed to incentivize real-world action through visible progress and peer accountability, building on an existing and to-be-developed WNC disaster relief framework. So the purpose of this is to increase local engagement, volunteering, and coordinated response to community needs using a gamified system of visible progress, public accountability, and social motivation. That aforementioned badge system is going to be key for all of you Duolingo users. You know what I'm talking about. So, I need to move this in. Oh, I'm moving. Okay. So, core features as such. Users earn badges for verified actions, whether that's volunteering, attending miscellaneous events, hosting efforts, and then increasing their current use case, going and driving. I drive X amount, therefore I get a badge. The way Jesse puts it, the dopamine hits. So we're kind of going to be using that to our advantage. But what really pushes this is the social side of things. So akin to Duolingo and Pokemon Go, those are great references for something that like we're wanting to build. Badges are public and act as social signals. So this promotes peer motivation. Like, say I've got a streak of volunteering, like I'm going once a week, like I can keep something up like that. Or I keep going to this specific type of event, I'm building up my skills in that one type of event. Or even just, I've gone and done a ton of different events, and for each event I get like a participation badge. I know this generation loves their participation trophies, so. That was supposed to go next. So that brings us to, how is this kind of technically feasible? What they've already got built out is that of just the driver portal, driver assignments, route tracking, and like kind of time in, time out, like, and the needs-based system. But building on top of that, we need to figure out ways to do action tracking and verification for whatever these tasks might be. I mean, we put cleanup, food distribution, wellness checks. Everything's logged and reviewed. This kind of keeps it also kosher for funding and stuff if we ever need to fund, because this is under a nonprofit, everything needs to be transparent. So these verified actions, in addition to that transparency, are to increase the user's trust score, possibly, figure out some way to potentially even automate the showing of specific tasks to people who have done more volunteering, just as an afterthought. Again, I haven't tweaked this pitch since I gave it to them, so I need to probably make it more relevant to the public, but today's my day off, so I'm doing some extra credit right now. But yeah, then comes in the needs assignment. or assessment. Ideally, this would be self-reported by the communities and the individuals within the community, and then have some sort of vetting process, and then like getting it into whatever schema is required. The thing that was brought up is that during a disaster, if somebody asks for sparkling water, they're probably just going to get distilled water. Like the actual like stuff on top of things is not really of priority. It's more of just, we get you your necessities kind of deal. But I mean, in sunny skies, potentially this could be an option, but yeah. So on the volunteers side of that though, ideally the volunteers would also self-match with whatever tasks are in their area. We're ideating on, I keep referencing Pokemon Go, please don't cease and desist me at Niancom, but a map-based mobile app that they can see what tasks need to be done where. Also akin to Uber, if we have like route tracking and stuff, like, okay, yeah, you need to drive this amount to get there, this is the amount of time that it would take you, like get that minute. That's something we would likely work towards. But yeah, so the volunteers would just match themselves on the tasks based on urgency, location, and then potentially going into like skill tags as mentioned prior, just going further into the gamification. This is all spitballing, so this hasn't been built out yet, but yeah. Further into the gamification, there's already roles for like driver, supplier, coordinator, stuff like that, but building those roles out to potentially like associate specific responsibilities. One that I quite enjoyed is that of the medic, for like having a set of people go and do the welfare checks in case there is first aid that needs to be done. And then communicator, I forget. This was also made with the help of my good old friend GPT. So it's been a minute, but I need to get some more context. But yeah, I keep talking about this. I need to probably rearrange the slideshow, but map-based task interface. That's kind of the value proposition for something like this. Allowing people to know what is happening in their area, both in disaster situations and not disaster situations. That will be key to, I mean, prompting engagement, like, oh shit, my neighbor next door needs something, but I didn't know that because I didn't communicate with them. This is a third party that will do that for me. So it kind of takes out the like fear, I guess, of asking for things. I hope, but yeah, further into the gamification, have some sort of leaderboard maybe, akin to what Duolingo does. Again, we're just taking bits and pieces. Lawyers, no, I'm not. I promise I'm not. But like, it's for a good cause. Just shish. But yeah. I mean, just highlighting top volunteers, having active zones of like engagement, like, oh, this community has been like super volunteer-y, like stuff like that, like some friendly competition. And then ideally mutual support. So on the flip side of it, if there are community stats, you can show that, oh, this community is not doing too hot, even in like sunny skies situations. It's like, have more metrics for stuff like that. I brought up the MetaCrisis earlier, but like some aspects of that would be like, oh, this community is not self-sustaining. They're doing a lot of imports. What can we do to kind of help that? Like building out community gardens, like stuff like that. Like ideally, me personally, I'm pushing for that solar punk community type style. And I'm wanting to enable that with technology like this. So have those be the metrics. Like how close are you to being a fully self-sufficient city? I mean, it can't hurt, and with the geopolitical climate right now, I'm scared. But yeah. Dashboard. I'm working closely with other people within the field. The group is, I don't know how many people, like 5 to 10 right now, and then we have a network of a lot of people that are wanting to help, because this is for a nonprofit. This has been done over the past year or so. And they did really well. So this is a network I'm tapping into. But Daniel Lindenberger, I forget the name of his company. It's like, starts with a TH. I apologize, Daniel, if you're watching this. But built out this MetaCrisis donut charts kind of platform, where on potentially the community organizer side of things, one can see exactly how their community is doing. And this would be ideally able to allow for the community organizers to have more informed decision making. We're thinking long term, not just short term, not just disaster. We're thinking making it such that people can thrive, not just survive. But yeah, ideally this would enable supporting the lower scoring communities and promote community solidarity and growth. Cross-community challenges could be something that could be implemented, and potentially even metrics, such it's like, yeah, no, so one of your scores with your community is that you don't do a lot of outreach. Like, that's going to decrease your score. Like, I don't know, just funny number go up, and monkey brain dopamine hit needs the number to stay up. But I mean, it really does work, though. It pushes people to do things, and if used for good, why not? It's gonna need a lot of calibration, but I think it's something that could really make a difference. So, I think one of the final caveats, dang, I'm like going on time. I need to really trim down this and get some visuals. So, will do, but this is like the first public disclosure of this ever. So, it's rough, and I apologize. But, it's built for disaster situations. It needs to be super low-tech compatible. So this is something I'm definitely going to need help with. Building out mobile-first, low bandwidth, and offline caching for something like this. One of the worries is that they go offline, they don't have access to the community, but they're still potentially able to have like a backlog of tasks that need to be done. And further from that, if there's any duplication of data that occurs going offline and then coming back online, could be funky. I don't know. I'm going to have to do a lot of research if I don't have somebody who's experienced in this. But yeah, looking for any like mobile game developers. But yeah. So further from that, likely we'll have a dedicated disaster mode where like gamification is completely optional. Like just turn it off if you want to. I had it posited such that it was like, if you're within the location of the disaster, we're just turning off the gamification. But then I was called out that like, hey, maybe the gamification will be helpful. And I was like, in that case, please use it. If it'll help people volunteer and get out of their house even during a disaster, shit, go for it. But it can't be a hindrance. It really cannot be a hindrance. But yeah. Target use cases. This is kind of already glossed over, but disaster relief coordination, whether that's post-storm, flood, wildfire, whatever. Further from that, though, ongoing community maintenance. So, like, in the sunny skies scenarios, trash pickup, tool sharing, neighbor wellness, like, the type of stuff that you'd want from a really good community. Ideally, that would be something that this could push. And then further from that, we can figure out ways to potentially promote civic engagement. I mean, like, have events at the town halls, have census drives, local surveys. Like, we're talking solar punk, man. Solar punk. I'm talking solar punk. They're talking just having a good community, for fuck's sake. We are talking that. Deployment. We would have this be a mobile app for volunteers, web app for organizers, or even mobile app for organizers as well. Yeah, I said that, but they need the bigger picture. They need to see this on like a desktop if need be. We're going to be building on the back end of the WNC Disaster Relief Framework, and then potentially having management portals hosted on this URL or another, or even just have like community subdomains. We're still figuring out the exact specifics of this. Again, this was an internal pitch that I'm externally sharing. But yeah, figuring out a way to have like each community have their own thing going as well. I think I said it. No, I guess I didn't. But like have each community have like their own badges. So it's like it prompts people to go in from other communities to go in and get like whatever they need to put on their profile, to share their little bling. Like I was a Boy Scout. I got this is my old Scout manual. So like meritocratic education systems are really cool to me. And this is almost kind of being like a trial run for some of the incentives that I want to put into the school platform. Everything's connected. But yeah, long term, ideally we'd be like building a decentralized network of biotowns. That was the old name for this, and we're still toying with it. I kind of like biotowns. Ben really likes biotowns. But yeah, each with its own badge ecosystem, local culture, all that kind of thing. We're using behavioral nudges and social feedback loops to normalize community care. And then ideally later on we would layer in some additional incentives, that being like, oh yeah, you have this badge, like, yeah, come in, get a free drink, I don't know, get some free ice cream, like stuff like that, like at local businesses to kind of spur some economy. I don't know, the doors are open. But yeah, next steps. This next week in specific, I'm going to be working on getting myself familiarized with their code. They built it in Spring Boot Java, and I am not familiar. It seems to me that my full stack experience is more front end than back end, so I need to kind of get that. I need to work on it. But yeah, today we don't stress about it. I'm going to go watch a movie after this because this is my day off. But yeah, so once I'm familiarized, we get a task list, get like kind of a timeline built, and then we need to just get building. It's not on here, but between that and the MVP, we need to get their website up and running into the disaster relief framework. That being by building out the volunteering portal, building out any type of like social platform that would be within that, like just a login, probably get some OAuth in there. But yeah, so build MVP is the TLDR. We do need to do that at some point. Focus on badge system, needs matching, and basic mapping. So like the actual map interface. I'm super excited to get to toy with that. Daniel's got apparently a like Unity plugin that builds on OpenStreetMap, and already does a lot of the functionality that I'm wanting from the actual game. So I am stoked. Hopefully that is easy. We did this not because it was really incentivized, but because we thought it would be easy. It's never easy, but yeah. We're gonna definitely run some pilots. There's a lot of partners with within the R4 network that would be interested in trying this out. And then, not ideally, but if it happens, it happens. If there's any existing disaster relief like endeavors that need to be done, just offer our services for free, because ideally that's going to be like straight into the fire, like getting stuff figured out. But hopefully just very bare bones, what we know works. But yeah, not testing and prod, but we want to get some good information, and we want to help people. That's the TLDR of this. We want to help people. But yeah, and then start scaling, like third step later on down the line, with just onboarding local hubs, that being like libraries, shelters, community centers, any of these like relief centers. But yeah, and then ask for questions, and then on to the future. So we get this basic gamification up, right? What I really want is to push this into a fully fledged, fully featured game. Not in any way that's disrespectful to the endeavor, but in addition to it. So what I brought up is this. It's up to 23 minutes now, I know, and I apologize, but I don't apologize. So y'all can cry about it. This is the Society of Seekers and the Realm of Resilience. Hell yeah. Putting a fantasy or other genre kind of flair to this. I'm going to move myself again. I'm going to stay up there. I'm going to stay up here. I'm going to scoot in. I got to get ready for this one. I'm going to make myself smaller. I'm so small. Y'all can't scan the link right now. Or can you? But yeah. The Society of Seekers. I like that, but the point was made that, okay, we have the Society of Seekers, but what about once they found everything? And then from there came the Realm of Resilience. So I'm kind of leaning more towards the ROR. But I liked Society of Seekers because it was the SOS, Save Our Souls. So in disaster relief scenarios, it would be kind of twofold. But yeah, exploring communities, building futures. So building a way to augment this reality's experience through an exploration gamification system. And then I got my little Elry and the Explorer tag. You know I've got to. But yeah, what is the Society of Seekers, or ROR? It's a platform that combines geocaching, storytelling, and community engagement through real-world exploration. We're aiming this to foster community development through physical and digital interactions, not just on volunteering, but genuinely just interacting with your community, genuinely and generally. The goal of this would be to incentivize real-world action while building social cohesion and community growth through exploration in their community. Ellery and the Explorer. You know I gotta be repping the exploration. The first concept that I kind of want to bring in, though, is that of two things. Finite games and infinite games. They're two very distinct things. Finite games will be structured tasks with specific goals as written. But, like, what really is that? Like, volunteering is a great example of that in the short term. Disaster relief is a great example of that in the short term. But these infinite games are going to be more of the building a culture, like setting up systems to build a culture. So ongoing engagement focused on long-term growth and participation. So by combining both of these, we have gamification on finite tasks, that being like any form of quests, but then on infinite games, games that don't have an end, we have general engagement, being people learning about themselves, people learning about each other. I digress. Let's start the journey. So I'm going to be walking through like somebody who just jumps into this, potentially not knowing what the heck they're jumping into. But yeah, onboarding and initiating questing. So users start out with a blank slate. Fog of war everywhere. The only thing they see is where they are at and where they need to be. So this initially prompts, where the heck am I? Where do I need to be, right? You go to this where you need to be, their local hub. Ideally, it would be wherever in MeetSpace there is people who have already been on this app, people who know what they're doing, or anywhere you can kind of get a quest. So, as shown in the image, Fog of War. It's a really cool mechanic that I enjoy. And this is also built on the same map system as BioTown's R4- R4 Go, whatever that is. And that's this is really why I want to help them. Not just helping people, yes, of course, but building out a gamified exploration tool. I want this in my life so bad. But yeah, let's continue. You get to your local hub, right? And before you get your first quest, in any RPG, you have some character customization, right? So, from there, ideally we would have some roles situated, like whatever role you're trying to do to fill within your community is what you would kind of get a physical starter kit on. This is, again, post kind of funding concerns. The two things that I'm really wanting to do is that of the compass. It's like any form of NFC tagged item, and then tools of the trade kit is one thing. Akin to like in D&D or in geocaching in real life, they have something called the tools of the trade kit. So it's any tools that you need like on your journey. This would change per class, include tools required for the journey, yada yada yada. But the really, really cool thing that I'm kind of wanting to toy with is that of an actual compass for pathfinding. But not just any compass. A compass... Jeez Louise. A compass that is kind of like an extended reality tool. Specifically that of mimicking the heads-up display. And what I mean by that is you have this compass that can point you in the direction of the nearest cache or the nearest quest point, or all of the above, like almost that of a mini-map. I want there to be a mini-map for this game. This company right here is a real compass that is meant to help people find each other during like a festival. So each of those dots is like another one of those compasses. That's something that I think could also be really cool to implement. Like there's other explorers in your area. I don't know, something like that. Just to build community. There's a lot of different avenues for where we could take this. But yeah, a compass, a mini map. We're building an IRL game. Why not? I'm super inspired by geocaching, but I love me some good technology. But yeah, they get their kit, and then what? They get their first quest. For the sake of demonstration, I'm gonna just say X% of this local community needs to be explored as this first like overarching quest, right? If they haven't done so already. Another thing I'm toying with is Google and Apple Maps, they keep your location history. That's not okay. That's not cool. But if you've already done that, why not be able to just import it into something like this to show where you've been in the world, to kind of like contextualize your journey, to see like not be redundant. But at the same time, maybe we want it to be redundant because maybe you weren't paying attention when you were exploring in the past. So this is for mindful exploration. I'll have that be an option, I think. They can pick to upload your location history or start afresh. But yeah. Where this kind of comes in, there's a percentage of exploration, akin to that of the badge system in Biotown/whatever. Have public metrics be the incentives. One of these would be percentage explored. So map unlocked metrics, community explored metrics, instead of like just traditional points. Later on, we could potentially do some like, I digress, that's a tangent. Ideally, we would display these metrics publicly on their profile to promote the social pressure and community participation in just that, exploration. And that would be meaningful exploration. I really enjoy within video games having a milestone to reach. Like, I have unlocked 100% of the achievements. We will have people who are grinding to get 100% of the achievements. IRL. Why not? Why not? To prompt immersion in just this exploration aspect, I've been ideating on how that can be done. One specific thing that I would really like to do is partner with Garmin and or a Android Auto or Apple CarPlay integration for actually having the GPS itself, like that system, be immersive. So having like on your CarPlay what quests you're trying to do within this app, and further from that, aesthetize like aesthetics, like change the aesthetics of the map to a gamified state. Potentially even have the fog of war if need be. There is some safety concerns, but we would figure something out. And then further from that, on just like the mobile app itself, we'll probably just start building off of OpenStreetMap. It's a really cool system, and apparently it was funded by all the big tech companies in retaliation to Google as a monopoly on maps, which is amazing. Love to have that. But yeah, anything we build, I'm positing that this is going to be open sourced because I want the community to be able to build on top of this. One thing that was brought up is that, okay, I'm selling this fantasy, I haven't even sold it yet. I'll talk about that in a bit. That's another point to just back in. I am all over the place. Another immersive activity, geocaching, near field connection coins, or even QR codes to just scan that you've done something, like that being scavenger hunt, or like in this case like a treasure hunt, or finding something in real life, I think is really immersive in the exploration side of things. And geocaching does an amazing job at this, but I kind of want to bring it a little bit into the 21st century. I've got a friend who's actually doing that, and I'm hoping to reach out to him and get some collaboration. But yeah, that brings me into how do we pull immersion, not just through the exploration though, but through potentially some form of story. The mechanic I'm wanting to utilize, I'm calling it shards. The metaphor for this is that we're having to look through the lens of a community, look through the lens of your culture to see the bigger picture. But right now, that lens is fractured into shards, into pieces of the bigger story. So, having actual shards floating around that you have to kind of find, like within the map game. The best imagery I found for this is that of the like campfire in Elden Ring. And Elden Ring is quite apt, not just because of this aesthetic, but also that of the message. I really enjoy the community messages within Elden Ring. So one concept that I was bringing in is that of auto shards, like self shards. Um, Personal fragments of their story that users can leave around the map, whatever it is, for other users to discover. To piece together potentially a side narrative, not just of whatever bigger picture, but of the narrative of each user. Something that can be done like kind of like location-based journaling. I quite enjoy. Um, just an idea. Moving forward though. And then this image did cut off, but it's like these footsteps almost that are like hovering. But I enjoyed the aesthetics of the like shard like looking appearance. But yeah. Secondly, intra shards. Shards at community places that people can kind of log into, I find quite enjoying. Potentially almost like a chat log specific to a location. It's naive of me to think that it would stop vandalism, but in a world where we can make sure that this is permanent, we can figure out a way that it's like this is a way for people to leave their mark. And that potentially when they come back to this location, they can see that this is them. Like they were here at this time, they did this thing, they wrote these thoughts down, and kind of leave messages for themselves. Again, to that of what vandalism really does, specifically for like historical sites. I know people would like leave so many notes, like just with like a pocket knife or whatever, and like just scratch it into the rocks or cut it into the trees, like stuff like that. Like your like little love letters and stuff, and that's so cutesy, but it's not the best for immersion into a historical site. So potentially as a way to kind of shy away from that, but also promote community-driven logs, like community communication around the area, like having appreciation for an area or an event or something in specific that you can come back to. I really think that would be something cool. And then finally, the most relevant, I probably should have this first, quest shards. So the same little thing floating around, we'll probably have them color-coded, figure something out like that. But have it be that this is a way that you can kind of interact with the questing mechanic. So like little points on the map that you go to, and at that you figure out what you need to do whilst you're there. Potentially we would have some system of showing like icons or like the type of event on top of that, such that we don't promote people just aimlessly wandering around. Though that would be really cool. It would be a waste of gas. Not the best, in case somebody's not really interested in the event itself. But having quests, like just the community events is one thing, but also having a potentially like the historical aspect of this. The quest shards could be like, again, with the intra shards at community locations, like historical locations, have quests like around the area to complete for some form of like experience or a badge or something like that. Just an example. We'll probably have a ton of different types of events and quests and all that, and that can all be built out, but I'm just trying to paint a picture. These are all things that could be done on a platform like this, and it's literally endless. So potentially by building this to be open sourced, I ideally want people to build it with me. I don't want to be just the sole dev on this. I want people to build their stories. I want people to have their communities show the community story itself. That's something that really intrigues me, because it's like, okay, I can sit in my room and do so much research on this community, but that's not immersive. It really isn't. It doesn't get me hyped up to want to to help the community. I mean, it does a bit, but like it takes so much to do that. I kind of want it just shoved in my face a little bit when I'm in the community. Maybe that's just me. But yeah. Other ideas to make things a lot more fun. That of NFC is such a cool technology. One thing that I think would be fun is maybe almost like a Sheikah Slate mechanic, where you got your phone and you put it onto some physical thing, some light show pops up, and at that point, like that starts the quest. Like physical immersion into things like this. And I don't think that would be that hard to build. Genuinely, some cardboard and an NFC tag could do this. Obviously, I would want something to be probably more permanent, like some sculptures. We could probably commission some local artists, Like, the sky is the limit with this technology. It is so cool. And we can build a real life interactive game. It would be so cool. I'm geeking. I'm being a nerd. But I want this to happen in my lifetime. I really want this to happen. More onto how this thing can actually work. Being purposeful with our actions is something that we really need to do in this day and age. So I kind of want to enable that, right? Akin to the community dashboard with the biotowns, whatever, the community cartographer. This is a map-based game, right? So cartography is a great thing. I have a picture of a war room because that's kind of how it feels. But it doesn't have to be a negative connotation, and it couldn't be open for the public. We can have maps that show how each community is doing at the city, county, state, nation level. We can do this quite easily with a couple of TVs and maybe a round table if we really want to have an actual round table. These are things we can do. We have so much freedom. We just need to use it. I want the aesthetics of the movies. I want to romanticize this life. Let's do it. I don't know. But yeah, the MetaCrisis. It's such a fun conversation topic. I'm going to clip this. Ben sent this to me. There's this guy, Daniel Schmachtenberger, provides a really good, story as to what this is and why it's relevant. It's not just doomer stuff. It's sadly kind of our reality right now because it logically makes sense. I'm not going to dive into it right now because I don't want to, but I implore you to look into it for yourself. But yeah, we've got to have some metrics to show how the community's doing at a glance. So that's another thing to kind of look into. We want to make it such that people can make better decisions and be transparent with those decisions as well. We want an actual democracy. I'm not going to get political. But yeah, same thing as the last one. We want to be able to support lower scoring communities. We want cross-community challenges. We want cross-community growth. We don't want this to be siloed. We want this to be an amazing nation, an amazing world. We need this to be an amazing nation, an amazing world, if we are going to get out of this shit. This is kind of falling flat. It's another idea I had. Historical era progression. As the communities get better or fall behind, potentially some type of slider scale. I was toying with the idea of geographical and cultural regions and their customizable aesthetic. As you go from early stages of development, like caveman era, Paleolithic era, through medieval to modern era, the aesthetics of each would be available for use within the community, but I think that slightly breaks some immersion, and we're probably just going to tone that back down to a badge system, that it's as community level badges, this community is this level of development, and what that can kind of look like. Is that of, okay, so to get through the Paleolithic era or prehistoric era, you have to get basic food production, regular tribal meetings, basic fire control and water access, stuff like that, little metrics that can be met by a community, that need to be met by a community in order to move on to the next level, just to really show some progress, right? This is the steps in Elden Ring, by the way, but yeah. There's a lot of community events that can be done through this. I know geocaching does cache in, trash out, which is really fun. I think that's called cache in, trash out, just CITO. But yeah, that's community driven efforts to clean up their local game board, they call it, but it's just local areas that they do geocaching in. Just pick up all the trash. They go in, take a trash bag, and they come out with a bunch of trash, and they get rewarded for it. Simple things like that. I was ideating on potential for capture the flag, doing community security testing, penetration testing. I come from a cyber security interested person background, but yeah, Again, potential partnerships, Garmin, the like pathfinding technology of like these GPS systems, and also the compasses aforementioned, and then partnering with local hubs to either help fund or even just give out like the tools of the trade and the quests, like the initial like onboarding, if that's not something we can do within the app. Long term, I want this to be something that is not just a mobile game, but something that can be done with the concept of asynchronous engagement. So no matter what you're doing, you can be participating in something like this. Like if you're just sitting at home on your computer, you can help guide people on quests, maybe even. If you're out and about and just have like your smartwatch on, I don't have mine on. Like just get some like location tracking or like a little ping, like actual cross-platform expansion, not just hardware-based. I don't like the way that these current companies, Apple, Android, Windows, like all these computers or whatever, like they try. I mean, it's mainly just Apple. They lock down their software to their hardware, and I don't like that. So having it so it would be on iOS, it would be on Android, it would be on Linux, Windows, like Mac OS, like all of that, you know. But for now, we're gonna have to start with just probably Android because it's the easiest to get an app out there, and then go from there. But yeah, this is to build stronger communities to help us get through the shit that is hitting the fan. We're focusing on the real world impact of this. Ideally, we're going to be helping to try and reduce carbon footprints, improve local economies, foster collaboration between communities. I mean, as previously stated, like getting people to like be incentivized to build a community garden. Like, I don't know, we're trying our best. I say this once again, you can call me idealistic, but at that you say what I'm doing is ideal. But yeah, I don't know. I'm running out of steam. I need to add more references. I'll get this posted. I haven't updated the website in a while. And I probably won't for a bit because I just switched over to Linux and I still haven't gotten like quartz and stuff set up. So yeah, I don't know. First day of work tomorrow, and there is funding behind it, which is why I was also like willing and able to help. So yeah, I'm not gonna be homeless. But yeah, I digress. I think that was all. Peace out, y'all. Thanks for staying with me.